Okay, it is 3:01. Let's go ahead and get the meeting started. We'll see who else pops in. Okay, let's do roll call. Valerie Richards. I don't see her yet. Linda Dugan-Winstanley is here. Julia.
Here.
Do not see. Oh, there you are. Here. Grant. Not here. Linda Whitney is excused. She has an excused absence today. Miranda, I see you.
I'm here.
Yep. Hi, Miranda. Nicholas Bowling, I see you as well.
Hi.
Welcome, Nicholas, to our group.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Amber Bowman has an excused absence as well, and Seamus has an excused absence. So right now, we do not have a quorum yet. So let's see, Commissioner Thompson is here. Jill Quackenbush is here.
I'm here.
Is here. And Shira. Shira here.
I'm here. I just can't really talk.
Oh, there you are. Sorry. Okay. And let's move on then to guest. Hey, Lisa's, how do you pronounce it? Amina or Mina? Amina?
Valerie Richards is coming in right now. So I'm admitting her, and I have not admitted Amina or Amina yet, who we invited that if she wanted feedback, she could come to this session.
Yep. Okay, and I see Valerie. Okay, now we have a quorum. Missing so far. We'll see if he pops on. All right, let's move on to the approval of the agenda. Everybody had a chance to view the agenda. Is there any additions, changes?
Grant is here now. I'll just admitted him. And I would like to suggest, since Shira is, since she's lost her voice, that agenda number 5, item number 5, local community health plan, she wrote an email that if people had questions for her, then maybe she could answer, but maybe otherwise we should move that to the next agenda to save her voice.
Sorry about that, Shira. I hope you get better.
Thank you.
Okay. So if there's no changes or additions, well, we do have a change. So we're going to take Shira's part and we'll put it on our next meeting. So with that added change, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Motion is passed to accept the agenda with the added change. Let's go on to number 6, roles and responsibilities. I'm going to turn this one over to Lisa. Did everybody get a chance to get a copy of the bylaws and look them over?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll turn this over to Lisa. It's all yours.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. First slide.
Hey, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, can I back up for just 1 second real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hey, we got a new we got a new addition to our council, and Nicholas Bowling. Nicholas, do you want to say hi and maybe
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicholas Bowling. Yeah, just joined the council. Yeah, I live in Astoria. Just really interested in helping out and giving back to the community in this way. Worked in healthcare for a long time, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome again. Appreciate you being here. Okay, Lisa.
All right, I'm sharing my screen and starting. Okay, for some reason lately when I share my screen, I cannot see anyone. So if someone raises a hand or has a question, then you know, Randy, if you could help me.
I'll let you know.
Let me know if anyone has a question as we go along, but I will leave places. We're gonna go through kind of the county government structure, and then I will pause for questions after that, and then we'll be going through the committee handbook, and then I'll pause for questions, and then the bylaws, and then I'll pause for questions, and then the statutes, and I'll pause for questions. So there will be some times where I'll wait and see if anyone has questions about the presentation along the way as well. And Jill's going to help keep me on track because it's kind of a long presentation. So for the Clatsop County Charter, it was last revised in 2007. It specifies the county basics like the name, boundaries, county seats. It specifies that we're nonpartisan, and then it also specifies elected officials like the Board of County Commissioners, the county sheriff, and the district attorney, as well as appointed officers like county manager and county council. As far as the committees, boards, councils, they're not included in the charter, and so that's something that's kind of at the discretion of the Board of County Commissioners and the county to create those policies and procedures around organizing the boards and different councils. So in our main org chart for the county, we don't specify in that where kind of committees and boards and councils are, and so I created one to kind of help everybody on the council understand where they fit in the structure of the county. So we have Clatsop County residents; those are the citizens. And then they're voting for elected officials, which, that includes the sheriff's office and the district attorney. But for the purposes of kind of where the council sits, it's the Board of County Commissioners. And then we have below that the appointed and the hired. So for the Board of County Commissioners, these are the commissioners we have currently. And Commissioner Thompson is on there. She's the liaison specifically to our council. Then for the appointed positions that are appointed by the Board of County Commissioner, we have the county manager, which is Dawn Bone. We have county council, which is Anthony Pope, who's come and given a presentation to us. Then there's all the advisory committees, boards, councils, which includes the Human Services Advisory Council. And then there's also the Fair Board, which is kind of their own bubble because there's a specific revised statute, Oregon revised statute that specifies their role. And part of that is directly overseeing the fairgrounds. And then under the county manager, there's all of the departments, and there's the assistant county manager, Monica. And then you'll see that Health and Human Services is one of the departments on there, of which Public Health is a division. And then they also oversee the contracts, which includes CBH's contract. Other contracts they hold, for example, is like veteran services with CCA and other kind of services that the county wants to provide. And they contract those out to a contractor instead of having an internal department that is providing those services. So that is kind of the structure of the kind of where the committees sit in the structure of the county. Do you guys have any questions about this? Right. So then the second thing that I wanted to talk about to kind of set us up to look at the bylaws is the advisory committee handbook. So advisory committees are established by the county to advise the county on various aspects of government. They will be established and assigned responsibilities by the board as necessary. Any advisory committee created by the board may be discontinued by majority vote of the board. So that's kind of the general idea behind the committees, and HSAC is one of the councils, even though we're a council, not a committee. So member responsibilities that are outlined in the handbook, public bodies, so open meetings law. So this would be like Robert's law and the ethics and meeting law that Anthony spoke to when he, county council, when he came and presented on things like having a quorum and on the kind of communication that we can have. And also the county social networking policy. So just understanding when and how you can represent the county and when you are speaking as a private citizen. And then effective committee members, they respect others' point of views, they ask questions to make sure you understand, and they come to meetings prepared and ready to participate. So staff support, which is my role, is to help with carry out the rules, policies, and programs, to bring attention to issues of importance, and to assist the chair with agenda, needed background information, and administrative duties. The chair's role is to suggest the committee's direction and goals, and to provide support and a supportive environment, help coordinate the subcommittee activities, to set the agenda and meeting preparation with staff, and they kind of represent the committee sometimes in various situations. So I should go back. So is there any questions right now about the chair's role, or the staff's role, or the council member's role, before I move into talking specifically about the Human Services Advisory Council's bylaws?
So far, no, Lisa.
Okay. So these are the bylaws that you guys all looked through. And so if there's, and I'm just kind of taking them article by article. So if there's a portion that I'm going through and there's something that you want to talk about specific to that one, then we can pause and talk at that point, or we can pause at the end, whatever people want to do. So Article 1 just has the name of the council. Article 2, duties and responsibilities, identify the needs and establish priorities, help select service providers, help evaluate services, provide a community balanced and independent opinion to Clatsop County Board of County Commissioners, and then also a link to the community at large. So Article 3 is the structures, and it talks about the areas of interest, which is important. There's developmental disabilities, mental health, prevention, intervention, and treatment. And that's with a specific Oregon statute that we can go over after we talk about the bylaws. And then also the alcohols and drugs, so the local alcohol and drug advisory committee. And one of the statutes that was referenced in the bylaws here, when I was looking up all the statutes to get ready for this presentation, that specific one has been repealed. The .290 has been repealed. And so we might want to consider removing that from the bylaws. But these other statutes I do talk about when we're done with the bylaws. Continuing to section 2 of the structure, you can convene work groups of knowledgeable persons to advise the council on specific program areas. And you have to give at least 1 week's notice to do that, to have a meeting at a different time. And then the council shall come together no less than 4 times per year to conduct the business of the council. So we mostly meet monthly, but occasionally when we cancel a monthly meeting, as long as we're meeting 4 times per year to conduct the business of the council, then that is in line with the bylaws.
Chair, could I ask a question on that last slide?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson here. You know, if we're interested in connecting the work of this council to the work of the county commissioners, it occurred to me that the County Board of Commissioners does have a strategic plan. And if we're going to integrate the board's strategic plan with the functions of this committee, maybe staff could take a look through that strategic plan and pull out the elements that could conceivably relate, and that might provide a connection that would be useful and relevant to help, I would say, guide the chair as the chair guides the council. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Thompson. Monica, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. So the board, like Commissioner Thompson mentioned, there's the strategic plan, and one of the areas of focus that has been in the strategic plan is behavioral health and drug and alcohol treatment and prevention, which is core to this group. Those are the things that you're responding to. And so I think, and I don't want to try and interpret what Commissioner Thompson was getting at, but you work together. And so the work that you're all doing and the advocacy that you bring before the board helps them when they're trying to do their strategic planning work. And so you are currently in the strategic plan. And if there are updates or ideas that you have to enhance the behavioral health care work that's being done, then this is that forum so that staff can bring, and Shira, being the contractor of those services, can bring those suggestions to the board as far as areas that you're hearing from the community members where we need to see improvements and such. Is that kind of what you're trying to get to, Commissioner Thompson?
That fleshes it out. I just want to help us see the structures that exist and the relevance and importance of the work that this council does.
Would you guys like me to or for us to have a later presentation at a later meeting about those elements of the strategic plan?
I think that might be a good idea. Yes.
Yeah, because that is one element that I did not connect into this presentation that is very relevant. So.
Yep. Agreed. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioner Thompson and Monica.
So then for Article 4, we have membership. So Section 1, reside or part of business community in Clatsop County, and the term is for 3 years. Sometimes we have someone step down early, and so someone else comes on and kind of assumes that that period of time. So their period might be slightly less than 3 years because they're finishing a previous term of someone else who stepped down before their term ended. So Section 2, not to exceed 9 voting members. And then employed contracted providers are not eligible, but can be ex officio. And then independent mental health, alcohol, and drug treatment or DD providers are not to exceed 1 member per contracted service. Oops, sorry. So this Section 2, number 3, this just came to my attention, and so I wasn't sure whether we wanted to talk about whether the current membership is meeting these requirements.
So how specific would the providers, because I mean, mental health, do we have a mental health, the alcohol and drug, TD, I mean, do they have different
Do not have a DD. We do not have a DD provider.
Actually, I'm going to pipe in, Randy, because I do
Go ahead.
I'm a personal agent that is basically provides case management to people that are developing.
That's right. You are. That's right.
But I don't work for the state directly. I work for Catholic Community Services. They're a nonprofit. as part of a brokerage that's integrated service network, which is the brokerage for Clatsop County. So I don't think that interferes with anything, but it is relevant.
It
so
does.
I just thought I'd pipe in.
Yep, that's a good point. And yes, we do meet that standard with you on this council. So thank you.
I think part of the question that Lisa has is, and I apologize because I don't know what services directly that Miranda provides versus Amber, and so Valerie's clarification on the DD side. And so I think that that's part of the question. And I don't correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa. I don't think that we're looking to make any changes at this point in time if we are in violation of that, but I think it's something that needs to be considered when people's terms are up for expiration, that is something that we have overlooked and want to make sure that we're getting a committee that meets the requirements of the section.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my kind of question.
Yeah, and then you got to figure too, the people that do apply, we're not getting people in those services.
I don't know if it's just me, but Randy cut out.
Oh, I did. I said a lot of it has to apply for our council. A lot of times they do not meet those requirements anyway. So it's a matter of getting the people to apply to be eligible for this council. A lot of times we don't have membership because there's nobody in these areas, drug and alcohol and DD and independent mental health. So
well, I think right now there's at least 3 of us that are in independent mental health. Myself, Amber.
Possibly. What's that?
I said at this point, I think there's 3 of us that provide independent mental health services on the committee.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, but what about the alcohol and drug treatment? I don't think we have anybody on our council that represents that area.
And so I think that that's part of the conversation the next time somebody's term is up, as far as recruitment and how we might recruit somebody from that sector versus having, because I apologize, I forgot Julia as well. And so to Miranda's point, you have 3 independent mental health providers. And so the next go around, should we be focusing on trying to get somebody who is from one of the other sectors so we're not exceeding 1 member per contracted service?
Yeah, and it doesn't say anything about having to have those people on here. It just says it can't exceed, right? So of course we want them on here, but the bigger issue is that there's 3 mental health people, which is what number 3 says. You can only have 1.
Yeah, thanks for looking at that part. So I'm going to remember that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, and so then section 4, continuing with the membership, they want membership shall represent, and then it has all these bullet points, which again is great if we have people who represent these sectors, and it says at least 1 member who has mental or physical disabilities. And I don't know if in our application process or discussions, if we specifically call out or require people to disclose their disabilities to us. And so, but it's great that we have a variety of different people who are on the council. So then also surrender of appointment. This is something that we added because there was one person who was kind of no showing and not responding, and we wanted to know what to do to officially remove them from the council. So we did add a surrender of appointment section a few years ago. So for Article 5, they're talking about chairperson, vice chairperson. It's 1-year term for that, and They also are the liaison to county staff, public agencies, Board of County Commissioners, assigned tasks to ad hoc committees, and the vice chairperson performs these in the absence of the chair. So this is similar to the information that was in the handbook. Article 6, rules and procedures. It just talks about quorum, open meetings, conflict of interest, and public statements. Members not authorized to speak on behalf of the council until the council takes a position of formal action. So unless the council votes that they have a formal position, then one council member can't speak on behalf of the entire council. It also talks about recommendations and actions. So writing an agenda, how to make a recommendation to refer a matter to the Board of County Commissioners by vote or not to refer a matter. The other members are allowed to do a minority report, and Robert's Rule of Order is the procedure. And then amendments are through a affirmative vote of a quorum meeting with special notification 30 days prior. So that is the bylaws. So I'll pause there so that if there is anything that came up during the bylaws when you were reading over them or when I was just reviewing them, that we can discuss it as well.
I do have something. So with the Article 3 structure and the repealed .290, I'd like to go ahead and have a vote to remove that from the bylaws. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Let's go ahead and take a vote to repeal .2 or 4.
I'll
I think
move
it
that
froze
we.
again, but I'm just going to say aye.
Oh,
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Go ahead and let's remove the.
Okay. He cut out for a minute, but I heard remove from bylaws and everybody.
Yeah, sorry, I
voted,
got something
right?
going on. I got something going on my end. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
So Lisa, how's that work? Does it have to go back to the commissioners to get, I can't remember when we do revise the bylaws, how does that work?
Yeah, I think
know?
last time that we did it, I had a draft that I created with the revision, and then and Monica, I don't know if we need that revised draft when it's just kind of that line out to come back to this committee first.
That's a question I'll ask Anthony, because since that's an ORS that's been repealed, it's more of like just like an administrative task. So I don't know, you're not making any substantial changes to the bylaws, you're just updating it to statute. So let me check with Anthony. Otherwise, yeah, we'll have to take it before the board.
Yeah.
Unless you all are proposing other changes at this point in time.
Okay.
I don't think so, no.
Thank you, Monica. Any other bylaw discussion that you guys want to have right now before we move on to looking at the statutes that are referenced in the bylaws? Right. So ORS 430-630, services to be provided by community mental health program, local mental health authorities, local mental health service plan rules. So each community mental health program shall have a mental health advisory committee appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. So that's what you guys are. That was pretty straightforward. The other one referenced 342 local planning committee duties. The governing body of each county or combination of counties in a mental health administrative area are designated by the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission shall appoint a local planning committee for alcohol and drug prevention and treatment services, or designate an already existed body to act as the local planning committee for alcohol and drug prevention and treatment services. So I don't know what came first, HSAC or this rule, but they are, HSAC is the appointed local planning committee for alcohol and drug prevention and treatment services, which is the reason why, as the prevention service provider who's funded through the state to provide prevention services for substance use and tobacco, we come to you guys to talk about our assessments and our plans and to get your feedback and hear back from you. So then 430, 342 local planning committee duties members. The committee shall coordinate with local behavioral health resource networks described in ORS 43389 to identify needs and establish priorities for alcohol and drug prevention and treatment services that best suit the needs and values of the community, and shall report its findings to Oregon Health Authority, the governing body of the counties served by the committee, and the Budget Advisory Committee of the Commission. So Behavioral Health Network, that's the network that Public Health is a part of with our harm reduction program. The Sheriff's Office also is a part of through Clatsop County with MAT, and then CBH is a part of it for, I don't know everything that CBH you guys are funded for, but I know it's peer services and treatment. I'm trying not to make you talk, Shira.
Are you asking like all of the alcohol and drug services that we offer?
For burn, what your burn funded for?
It's treatment, screenings, assessments, peer harm reduction. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. So you have several of the burn providers here in this meeting too with you. And then members shall represent the geographic area and the persons of interest and experience with developing alcohol and drug prevention and treatment services. Membership of the committee shall include a number of minority members, which reasonably reflect the proportion of the need for prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation services of minorities in the community. So I think that speaks to some of the parts of the bylaws that kind of have those bullet point lists of the different kind of types of members that they'd like to have on the council. And then every application for a grant made under ORS 43345 to 43380 shall be assisted in the preparation and development of alcohol and drug prevention, abuse prevention, early intervention, and treatment services by the local planning committee operating in the area to which the application relates. So those statutes are the ones that are relevant for our prevention programs that we're funded through. And so we've had those grants for a long time. But if we were to apply for a new grant or change our grant, then we would want to be talking to you and getting support on that as well. The authority shall require every applicant of a grant. So this is more about the grants. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions about the bylaws or I guess the statutes?
I had a question.
Lisa, go ahead.
Well, I'm curious about the way the committee, thank you, the way the committee and the county look at how to determine need and make sure that this committee is constituted proportionate to the need in the community. I wonder if there's a metric for that I just am not aware of. Or did I misinterpret what I just heard? Because I heard there should be a correlation between the population of need in the community and the population of this council.
So I can try to help with that, but I don't know if Nicholas had something he wanted to respond to on that, or is that a separate question you have, Nicholas?
I just wanted to see the last slide again,
Oh,
please.
sorry. So I think that that's the idea behind the makeup of this committee, Commissioner, is trying to make sure that you're having representatives from, we have our contractors on here, but obviously they're not a voting member. But then the rest of the representation is, you know, people who are providers themselves, or people who have the lived experience, or are family members of somebody with lived experience. And so you have that diverse representation. And so this group, having that representation is then having those contacts throughout the community who would be having experiences. And so then taking the feedback from this group with all of that different representation and helping deliver that information to the board and what they're hearing and the concerns that they're hearing from the board. And so, for example, I apologize because I can't remember how many years ago, but I know that Dr. Mushin was still on the board at that time. You know, there were a lot of community feedback in regards to concerns around CBH being the provider. And so at that point in time, the board directed us to go out for another RFP for provider services. And so we took that information, part of which came from the feedback that this committee was sharing, and then took that information, went out for an RFP. We did only have one respondent. This committee reviewed the RFP and went through the interview process with CBH, and then we brought that before the board and then selected CBH again. But it's that information that this committee is hearing throughout the community members. I know for a while there was also a really big concern around, because the county used to contract directly with the state for the DD services. And there were a lot of complications with DD services that the county, who then contracted with CBH, we were running into a lot of challenges that the state was telling us that we needed to address, but we didn't have the authority to address it. And so then that was something that we took before your board and said, this would probably be better served if the state was contracting directly with somebody so that they could provide these services within the community better. And the state now directly contracts with CBH to provide those DD services. So that's, again, the dynamic with this committee is getting that community input, hearing what you're hearing, and then within the realm of the work that you do, how can we get this information to the board so then the board can then better determine how they want to provide or contract to provide these services.
So follow up. Thank you. That's very clear and thought-provoking. Follow up, Mr. Chair, with just a statement. Do we do an annual report to the board? Does it include a roster of the members that indicate that we've complied with the parameters that the assistant county manager just described? Because I think that would be useful to call attention to the purpose and the actual relevance and value of this committee.
I think that's a good idea. I think I would like to do that, actually. What does everybody else think, the members? Linda?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
What do you think, Linda?
Yes. I think that.
Yeah. Anybody else want to put feedback on that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Grant. Yeah, that's a great idea, Commissioner. Lisa, we can surely do that.
Yeah, I'm happy to help with that.
Okay, great idea. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
I have another question. Lisa, on the recommendation action, section 5, remind me again those minority reports.
Yeah, I
What
can go
is
back to
that?
that. I can go back to that
Yeah.
section here.
I can't remember if that's another opinion or what that was. I was just wondering.
So I think that what this is saying is that if everyone votes and the majority vote to take a certain action, and there's like one person who feels differently about it, they're allowed to offer their kind of conflicting opinion as well as a minority report. So it's not, it's being presented as something that the whole board, the whole committee or council didn't support, but it's still an opinion that's allowed to be, shared and presented. Is that how, Monica, is that how you interpret that as well for what a minority report is?
Yes.
Yep.
So I think that's good for us to know because sometimes we have different opinions. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I still think as a committee we move forward with the vote, but it just shows, yeah, there was another opinion on it.
Well,
but
and
I'm
that's
always a
the
believer.
intent. If it's not a consensus if it's not I think there's 9 of you, 9-0 vote, what was the outlier and what was the reason? It just provides, since the Board of Commissioners isn't necessarily but they have, Commissioner Thompson as the liaison, but if there's a reason and the rest of the board is reading the report, they want to be able to know why was there the outlier.
Yeah, but I still think as a council we move forward with the vote, but at least the one person can explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, Lisa, are you finished?
Yes, that is my presentation.
Okay, if there's no more questions or comments, let's go ahead and move on. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it. Okay, we got to go to number 7, open seat in March. So Valerie Richards' membership is up to reapply. Valerie, could you, for some reason I had issues on my end opening it up.
Yeah, I can resend it to you, no problem.
Yeah, and I forwarded your email on to Lisa and she couldn't find it either. So
maybe I just need to change it to a PDF. I have it in here. I can do that.
Okay. What's that, Lisa?
Could you just CC me also? And that way Randy doesn't have to worry about forwarding it on to me. And then it still has to go to like an open recruitment, but then, you've submitted your application showing that you would like to be considered for that open position as well. So thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
And so we've decided Valerie's.
What's that, Linda?
So we've decided Valerie's DD services, so she's separate from the mental health that the other ones are. Is that correct? Okay, perfect.
Yep. Okay, provider report. Shira, are you able to give us your report?
I'll probably be pretty brief.
Okay.
Just the biggest thing is opening the Baker building on Marine Drive, which we moved our staff into the office spaces a couple weeks ago, and we should be moving residents in a couple of weeks in February. So the lease up process for that is going well, and we're really excited to see the impact that Baker building has on the community. It's a huge accomplishment. It's been a huge project for us.
Can you remind us how many units are in there?
It's 32.
32, and do you have applications to fill all the units, all 32?
Yeah, there's almost 80 folks who have applied to get into Baker Building. So
Wow.
the list is long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great need. All right.
There's a great
good.
need for sure. Just generally, I think it's probably helpful for this group to know, like all of the healthcare providers right now, we're just really struggling just financially. We took a 14% reduction just recently to our behavioral health resource network dollars. That's the burn that we were discussing earlier. That's an off-cycle reduction, so not something that we plan for, just something that you have to figure out how to mitigate or navigate. Our CCO contract is a lot lower than we've expected in the past years, and yeah, we just continue to kind of take reductions right and left. CBH has reduced our staffing by about 13 positions in the last 7 months. We haven't laid anybody off. That's just been a matter of like restructuring staff and moving people around into essential positions and doing everything that we can to retain the behavioral health providers that we have. But just helpful for you guys to know just kind of the reality of the situation, and that this is all coming before the implementation of HR1 and significant Medicaid reductions, which will hit next year.
Shira, I've got a question. I volunteer over at the jail, and I know the women have to go to treatment. Some of the women have to go to treatment when they get out of the jail. Is the Baker Building, does it qualify for that?
No, the Baker Building isn't treatment, it's permanent supported housing. So it's housing for people who experience chronic homelessness and then often have co-occurring experiences of mental illness or substance use disorder. They don't have to engage in services with us to live at Baker Building. They don't have to be a CBH client. A lot of them will be. But treatment isn't like inherently connected to living at Baker.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments for Shira?
Shira, I don't know if you did or not, but if you want to share, or I can go find it, that link that you provided for the Board of Commissioners for Hawkeye, I don't know that we've shared that with the HSAC group.
Sure.
And so I think that when Lisa sends out the minutes, we can put that in there and then folks can see that, because it's a good example of what Baker Building will be providing, but Baker Building will be solely permanent supportive housing, where the Hawkeye also is, there's a group of workforce housing units there as well.
So Care Oregon owns Hawkeye and Seaside, and we're the contracted permanent supported housing provider down there. It's 16 units of permanent supported housing. And I think what's really different about like low income housing versus permanent supported, like the difference between just handing somebody a key to an empty apartment building and permanent supported housing is that we're there on site to help them with skill building, help them with basic needs, make sure that they have access to some transportation and grocery shopping, get them connected to other resources or services, and then primarily to create a sense of community for people who need that, because we all need that. And so that's a big key element of what permanent supported housing is. We've really created that at Hawkeye, and we're excited to do that at Baker Building too.
Great. Okay, thanks, Shira. Any other questions for Shira? All right, thank you. And Commissioner Thompson, you're up.
Sorry, this is so tricky to get that little cursor in just the right space so I can unmute myself. All right. Well, it's special session of the legislature, and what that means is very concentrated, very hectic activity on the part of everybody who's connected with any aspect of government in Oregon. And it's productive, it's constructive. your Clatsop County Commissioner is part of the executive team at the Association of Oregon Counties, which meant that I was part of the team that went to all of the leadership of the Senate and the House, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, everybody, all the way up and down the line about who matters in terms of the priorities. What we're looking to do is to have Clatsop County be part of a team that supports your work and the work of other community service providers all over Oregon. I think that's the most concise way I can put it. I go to the local government advisory committee, the second point, and I still hear, in spite of assurances that we received earlier, that the administrative burden continues to grow. The Oregon Health Authority has 6,000 employees, and they all have work to do. But some of the members of the committee say, we've got the Department of Human Services, we have the Oregon Health Authority. There's a lot of central staff in Salem, and it's clear that they do good work, but is that the best use of the money? Because all of us are hearing what Shira just told us, which is money to provide direct services is being reduced. Time spent on administrative burden is holding steady or increasing. For me, as an elected, that's very concerning. Addressing it takes being part of teams of county commissioners dealing with the legislature and state agencies to try and make a difference in that. The way I look at this committee is you're my reality testing for the things I hear in these meetings with department heads and state legislators. You keep me grounded in what's the truth here in Clatsop County, and I depend on you for that. How to make best use of that, how to establish patterns of communication about substantive issues is what I see as my task in working with you and the chair. That's it. That's what I have to say. And I don't know I don't know what it looks like. I just know that that's the need I see.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Thompson?
So I attended a meeting where John Kitzhopper and Bruce Goldberg spoke, and it's my understanding Bruce Goldberg's now advising the governor for the. So anyway, of course, a little bit different sides on both of them, but I don't know if you guys know, Kitzhopper was the one that started kind of the community care organizations, and when he was governor at early 2010, 11, 12, right in there. Anyway, so they were saying that Medicaid's going to lose about $200 billion this year. 27 to 29, there's going to be another 3.3 billion. This is just how it's scheduled. And 29 to 31, another 4.7. So in the next 5 to 6 years, we're going to lose $8 billion. So it's, the question is how is Oregon going to handle that? Are they going to pull money from education and other areas to handle that, or and like Leanne said, administration that was brought up. It's over budget, yeah. So anyway, there is a huge problem, and they're trying to figure out how. We have a huge unemployment rate in Oregon. A lot of companies have moved out. The state gets their money from us. I mean, that's where they get their money. And as more people move out and more people are unemployed, they're going to get less money as well. So I think it's something that we need to be aware of and not ignore, like Leanne's saying. So anyway, yeah.
Good points. Good points. Thanks, Linda. Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on.
Can I
Thank
add
you.
something
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
quickly,
Shira.
Randy? Just kind of
Yeah.
in the conversation around like role and scope. And I think, and I really appreciate the conversation around like wanting to implement some kind of survey. I also think that it's important to me that members of this committee have a really thorough understanding of the community mental health programs, roles, scope, responsibility, function, contractual obligations, and underfunding problems. So I think it's really challenging to survey services without understanding the complexities, the funding streams, the limitations, and the laws that we operate in. So I would just ask and offer, one-on-ones with folks who want to learn more about the CMHP, who really want to understand our working relationship with the local mental health authority, all of the things that we're contractually obligated to do but not funded for, so that when surveying an organization and surveying services, you're doing so with the context and the understanding of the system and the parameters that we exist in.
That's a good point. I agree with that. Maybe we can put you on our schedule to maybe speak to us about that and give a presentation.
I certainly can. It's so big, right? And so you can't learn about the community mental health program, the behavioral health system in a 30-minute presentation. So I think that it's going to take more than that. It's going to take an ongoing investment from committee members there's a lot of information out there already, right? So it's educating yourselves, reaching out and having conversations with me. I'm certainly happy to present on different topics. It's a really, really complex organization with multiple funding streams, and multiple different contractual obligations, right? We report to the CCO, to the county. We have our CFAA, to Oregon Health Authority. We're pursuing our CCBHC, which is our Community Clinical Behavioral Health Clinic. I'm being redundant in my acronym right now. But anyway, there's another set of obligations that will come with that certification. So again, I would just ask for reach out to me, learn more about the system that you're representing, that you're speaking to, that you're surveying, and that, that you're here to represent and advocate for, because I think that's such a huge piece of what this committee can do is support the behavioral health system, right? And advocate for our gaps and help and understand, if we have shortcomings, certainly not because we want to, but why, what are we up against, and back us up in the conversations that we're having with state leadership and with the legislature. That's what I really need from this group. So I'm really hoping that we can kind of get more of that as we move through the year.
That's a good point.
Shara, I've got a
Go
question.
Go ahead.
So backing up, are you talking about trying to remove some of those obligations or needing more funding for the obligations, or where are you headed with just generally?
I mean, for me, it's not about removing obligations. We're the safety net provider, right? We are the community mental health program.
I meant reporting obligations for this at the state level or the different.
I mean, I think I guess my ask is that this group really invest in understanding the CMHP, the role that we play, and the CDDP, right? Because we're also the Community Developmental Disabilities Program. And then what are the fights that we're fighting? What am I fighting with the state? What are we advocating for, right? I'm a commissioner for the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission. What are we after? Making sure that we're aligned in our local efforts and that we're moving towards the same goal. To Leanne's point, administrative burden is a huge thing for us, right? And she and I have conversations about that. It's a huge barrier. So I want this group to understand why. What does that mean for us, right? What are we spending so much time on instead of spending time on direct care and direct service? I just want to feel like this group is a group of advocates in my corner and not necessarily just a group of people that are evaluating our services without the contextual understanding of everything that we do and are required to do and our limitations.
And those are all good points. Shira, I totally agree with you. And I would like to see maybe some presentations every maybe couple of months from you, and maybe from Lori Moore from CDDP. Maybe she can come on board and give some presentations on the developmental disabilities side of it. So would you be willing to do that every once in a while? Maybe every couple of months?
Yeah, I think yeah, we can definitely put some presentations together as a component of this work.
Right. Lisa, what do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that's kind of, when we had CBH come and talk about civil commitment with the sheriff, like that's kind of the direction we were already going as a council, where we'd like to like periodically hear more about other services. But I see that Commissioner Thompson and Miranda have had their hands up. So.
Yep. Miranda, go ahead. Oh.
You're muted, Miranda.
First.
Sorry. I just was going to say, in the context of this conversation as well, one of the things I would like to see us do as a committee more also is talk about, everybody has a different role in the community here. And has had different experiences. And so what are potential solutions to some of these problems that we can all discuss together and put out, as recommendations for people that are here or to county agencies, however that looks, rather than, sometimes it feels like it's, for me, maybe I'm only speaking for myself, but sometimes it feels like complaints or issues that there's no real, don't bring an issue if there's not a potential solution, right? We've got to have ideas about how to combat some of these things that are real things we can do in our community, and working together. I know I said this the last time we talked about this, but really finding ways to work together as providers here, because there just isn't any other solution. We're not going to get funding changed because we on the council here want it. So we have to have some real solutions that we all can talk about as together.
Okay, good points. Jill, you had your hand up. Jill Quackenbush, are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay.
We missed Commissioner Thompson, and she had her hand up first, so she's been waiting for quite a while.
I didn't
Chair,
notice. Sorry, Commissioner. Sorry, Commissioner.
I'll
Go
wait
ahead,
for
Jill.
Jill.
I just wanted to say that any way that public health also receives just a very small portion of the funding that Shira was so eloquently talking about. And so, if there's any additional information that this council wants to know about what our piece to that pie is, again, as our contractor for the behavioral health and substance use treatment piece, like CBH is much, much larger, but I just wanted to make sure that people understood that there is also this other connection too.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Jill. Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm a fan of annual work plans. I love Shira's point about using this committee as an education venue. I'm not so crazy with one-on-one reaching out, because then if one person gets the information, it doesn't help the whole group function better. But if we're looking at doing an annual report and there's an annual work plan, and every meeting is structured to have, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of it be about education and 1/3 about, here's some issues we see and we wonder about these proposed solutions. For me, that's a kind of a workable framework to add impact and focus to what we're doing, because it's easy to get overwhelmed. There's plenty to be unhappy about. But if we're getting smarter all together, we're looking at what are the problems that we see that we think we could do something about, or even the ones we can't do anything about, but we have it laid out through the year, then we know kind of where we're headed. We're not leaving pieces out like public health and all of that. And we're understanding from a knowledge base as well as an emotional base, what we need to do.
Sorry, Randy, I've got one more. So Kit Hopper was saying when he developed the CCOs in Oregon, he said Oregon's small enough you can get a group together. So you got a group of like 10 people at a round table. You get the right people together and came up with ideas. And I mean, you have a system where somebody throw out an idea and then there's a system of how all that works. But I almost wonder in our county why we can't get a group together. We're a pretty small county. Why couldn't we get a group together that could solve, the problem in the county? Now, we're not going to solve it, but at least have a direction. Again, you have to know where you want to get to. So where do you want to get to? And then pull this group together. So I don't know. That's just a thought out there, if that's possible. I know we have all these Zoom meetings with all the players, but try to find those people that can make the decisions and then go the direction you want to go. So I guess, first of all, where do we want to be at the end of the day, is the main thing. And then we're a small enough county to do that. So just a thought.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we got some hands up. Let's go to Grant.
I just want to go back to what Shara was saying. I think what she was saying is we're an advisory council, but could we do more to be a champion of some of the things that she wants to accomplish or can't get done? Can we be more vocal? Can we help write letters? Can we do something? That might go along with what Linda's saying too. Who can we get involved with that's going to help us champion these folks?
Okay. That's good input, Grant. Who is next, Jill or Shira?
Jill.
I'm also feeding my face, so I wanted to also share, to Linda's point, we do have the Rural Health Coalition that is making a difference, and those are the people that can make change, and there is change, and that might be another presentation, is to have representatives from the Rural Health Coalition come and talk about the success that we've had so far and what our new action plan is going forward. We just completed a community health needs assessment. The hospitals and public health is now working together on a community health improvement plan. So there is this work that is being done. What I'm hearing is that we need to make sure that you guys are connected to that work as well, and that that, because these are the people that are on the ground and working and doing and investing in all this assessment. We need to make sure that you guys have this information.
Good points. Good
I
points.
don't want to
Thanks.
cut Nicholas or Shira off, but I just want to add to what Jill was saying to kind of piggyback for Linda is to the administrative burden piece. To Jill's point, we have a lot of committees that are doing this work, and a lot of them are the same people. And so the more groups that we have, that's more meetings that we're going to try and get the message when we already have these existing groups. And being a champion, to Grant's point, is the work that you all really are. You're an advocacy group, and us bringing back the information that we're sharing at different meetings, or sharing what you're hearing at those other meetings that we're going to, because we are a small county, and while oftentimes, it's not a perfect world and people are in silos, we do a really good job of working throughout our community and working with our community partners. And so I think that the groups that you're referring to, Linda, exist, to Jill's point. It's just a matter of how we can share the information better.
Okay. Thanks, Monica. I'm going to go back to Shira because she was in line, and then I'll come to you, Nicholas.
Jill talked about it. I was going to talk about the Rural Health Coalition,
Okay,
which I guess I would just add is being looked to in the state as a model for the state for ways that counties should function and pull their health system leadership together to problem solve local issues. That's actually one of my favorite things about working in Clatsop County is the connectedness and the relationships that we have with our system partners and the things that we're able to get done just together here locally.
okay. Thanks. Nicholas?
Yeah, thank you all for everyone's input. This is my first meeting, so I'm just learning a lot. Who are the service providers around the services that HSAC represents? I know about CCA and CBH and then the hospitals, but I don't know of anyone else.
So if I can respond to that, HSAC oversees DD, mental health and substance use, and we contract with CBH for, the county contracts with CBH for the behavioral health substance use, and then the state contracts directly with CBH for developmental disabilities. And so CBH is here as that contract provider. We also have, our public health staff, who, as Jill mentioned earlier, also receives some funding in the prevention realm, as well as not just for drug and alcohol, but also for gambling. And so public health also receives it. But to the point of connectivity, a lot of the work that CBH and public health do interconnects with other programs that we have, which, to a certain extent has a substance use component to it, such as the deflection program, which interacts with our sheriff's office, because they are the deflection coordinator works out of the sheriff's office, who again, we're working directly with CBH on that to help provide those services. So the primary provider specific to the ORS that you all are being guided by is CBH and public health. CCA and all those other organizations are huge community partners and work with a lot of the same clients, but specific to the services that this ORS speaks to is CBH and public health.
Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe it is just overlap, because I know CCA offers some mental health resources of sorts. But is there a list of other resources that I can be looking into? Because this is the first I've heard of the Rural Health Coalition, but other places I can learn and do my own research to be a more informed person on the council.
We can work, Lisa and Jill and I can work with Shira and get some information, because I think that it'd be helpful for everybody, to Shira's point, just to kind of help provide a little bit better understanding. Because the contract that we have with CBH for the services, which you all are helping provide advocacy and support and feedback on, are very specific to a population. There is, everybody could benefit from mental health services. CBH does not see every client for mental health services. The contract that we have is very specific for the population that they're serving. And so we can put something together. It'll be for all of you. It's going to take us a little bit of time to figure out what's best, but it'll be a good guidebook.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you. Nicholas. Okay. Linda.
So on the community health needs assessment, I think that's the one that's done every 3 years. When we look at it for this year, the needs are so similar to what they were 3 years ago. So I know you guys are working on that stuff, but when I asked, I'm on another committee, when I asked about it, I was told it's pretty much used for funding, and instead of trying to look to improve things. So maybe I'm wrong. I know Jill's going to talk about it, but I just don't see improvement with that. And that's the only reason I'm bringing this stuff up.
Okay, Shira.
Just to speak a little bit to what Monica said, and just as a reminder for folks, the contract that we have with the county is only a portion of what CBH does as an entire organization. And a great place to start is the local plan. So I'm grateful that I'm not doing that presentation today. If you have not had an opportunity to read through the local plan, I know it's dense. I wrote it. But if you have time to read that document, that's the best place to start with getting a really solid conceptual understanding of what it means to be the contracted community mental health program under the county and through the Oregon Health Authority. So I would really ask that everybody really commit to giving it some time and coming to the next presentation ready to ask questions and kind of dig into that document. And Nicholas, to your point, that would be a great place for you to start too, at least in understanding our county contracted services as the community mental health program. It doesn't include DD services, but Lisa, if you could send that out to the group again, so it's like fresh in their inbox, I think that would be fantastic.
Great. Perfect. Monica.
I just want to follow up on Linda's comment about the community needs health assessment. And I agree, we constantly are needing to improve, but I think part of, and Jill can correct me if I'm wrong, but part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of the same stuff is because we haven't been able to make improvements because of the funding levels. For example, one of the things that we gave back to the state that we used to contract with CBH for as a part of this contract was gambling treatment. We received $11,000 a year to provide gambling treatment. $11,000 is not going to be able to adequately provide treatment services to one individual, let alone multiple individuals. And so that's just an example of, we know that there's deficiencies, and we know that improvements have to happen. And so those are going to continue to be on there because we can't adequately provide the services to the level that we need to be, because we're not receiving the funding to make a change. And it's also, change doesn't happen in 1 year.
No, but Monica, that's the issue, is you're going to get less funding in the future. So unless you do things differently, there's not going to be any improvement. And it's a 3-year study. It was, I believe it was a 3-year study. So that's my only concern, is if we continue to do the same thing, you're going to get less and less money. We're going to get the same results. So that's the reason why I'm bringing it up.
Okay, Jill.
Yeah, Linda, you're absolutely right. That is the truth, right?
I like being right, Jill. Thank you.
I like to make you smile. But that is, again, this is a direct result of the Rural Health Coalition, is that public health and the hospitals and our community partners are working together differently than they ever have before. So this is the second time that we've worked on a community health needs assessment together. It's the first time that we're working together on a community-wide community health improvement plan that we are engaging the Rural Health Coalition in that. So before, it's not a requirement for public health to have an improvement plan. Call me crazy, but it's not. Should we have one? Absolutely. But it goes back to that administrative burden. The hospitals are required to have a community health improvement plan. So they would do them individually. They would put them on the shelves. They might have internal accountability metrics around it, but you didn't hear much about it. We're trying to do things differently now. So I'm meeting regularly with the hospitals. We're talking about how do we take these priorities? How do we do it? What makes sense with what I said with public health, what are we funded to do and what are we statutorily required to do? Because I can't do more right now. And so how can we do, if there's opportunities, having some type of priorities and plan ahead so that we can take those opportunities with a shared drive. But what are we doing all right now that we could be doing better? Not with more money, but because we know we're going to get less money. So, that was part of our conversation, is that the hospitals are going to be getting more people without insurance. Public health might be able to help fill that gap, right? So how are we making sure that we are all communicating? So we know exactly what you said, and our goal right now is to do it better this time.
I just want to jump in here and highlight that, this is the exact kind of conversation I would love to see from this council, all of the time, right? Because I think if you were to be asked to say, hey, survey gambling services, I would imagine you all would be like, well, they're crap because they don't exist. Well, they don't exist because the state doesn't fund them. And we had to give the tiny amount of funding that we got back because we couldn't meet that statutory requirement with $11,000. But without that knowledge, in a survey response, you're going to say 0, fail. And so this is just such a great example of, I think, the context, the barriers, the systems, the funding infrastructure that I think this group really needs to have a deep understanding of to be able to advise truly and advocate.
Thank you.
Okay, I agree. Any other comments? Okay, lively discussion.
I just want to say something.
Go ahead.
Randy?
Yeah.
We seem to be resigned to the fact that we're going to have less funding. Is there anything we can do to encourage raising that funding? Like this year, we're all going to get a kicker back, which means they didn't spend as much money as they brought in as income. Why not? We need money, and they're going to give it back to us rather than give it to places that actually need it. There seems to be a flaw in what's going on with the revenue and the expenses here, where they're not considering things like healthcare as important as they are. Is there something we can do to encourage them to quit cutting health, go cut something else?
Chair, I have a response for that.
Go for it.
Thank you, sir. The Speaker of the House said something about the kicker. It's supposed to be sacrosanct and not to be touched. But, Mr. North, what you're saying is something she said. So I don't know what the protocol is about writing letters to various legislators. I don't know if that's allowed because I haven't looked at the rules. But if you have that thought, the Speaker of the House, Julie Fahey, had that sentiment earlier this week. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not talking about giving the kicker back, taking the kicker away from us and spending it somewhere. I'm talking about better planning up front so that their plan for expenses is covering healthcare where they don't have to give a kicker back. I totally agree. If they don't spend it, then give it back to me. But why don't they plan better and spend it better?
Mm-hmm. Good point. Any other comments? Okay, if not, let's move on.
Randy, I rose my hand.
Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
I was just going to say that I do have an agenda planner that I keep, and so I'm happy to share. I can update that and share that at the next meeting. Also, I also thought it might be good to have the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission come and present on what their plan is, because they've put a lot of work into that, and that's really related to the work that you guys do, and they want to have a bigger connection. Is something they mentioned as part of that plan with the local alcohol and drug planning committees like ours, and so. That, and then I think that with the CHNA, we could definitely roll in more information about the Rural Health Coalition into that. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to do kind of what Commissioner Thompson was saying, which would be nice, was to have like a year plan, and I could be more transparent with what that is, if that would be helpful to people, because I just have it internally right now for myself.
That would be very helpful, Lisa. Yes. We got a lot of good ideas here thanks for the discussion and the comments and the suggestions, and let's keep that in mind and we'll move forward on. Okay, let's go to next meeting is March 12th at 3 p.m. and the proposed topics are community health needs assessment from Jill, the reelection of the chair and vice chair, so keep that in mind, our yearly election. And then maybe if we could go fall back on Shira to give her community health plan update, if that's okay with Shira. Okay, sound good, Lisa?
Yeah,
Sound good?
sounds good.
Okay, all right. Good of the order. Anybody, anything for the good of the order? If not, we'll go ahead and adjourn. It's 4:26, so we got this all in under our time. So, yeah. So, good job, everyone. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time, next month.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.